What is going on, y'all? YouTube world, my family, my people. My name is Ghiman Mckinney. Appreciate you guys for tuning into the channel today. Be sure to smash the like button right now if you're rocking with me. Subscribe to my channel if you are new as well. There's a ton of great sports videos being posted on this channel weekly and almost every single day if I can. And turn on post notifications too. It's only right, guys. You don't want to miss a video. All right, Minnesota Vikings. We will talk about them and their schedule in 2019-2020. We will discuss and break down and game by game to try to come up with how many wins and losses the Minnesota Vikings will finish with in 2019-2020. So let's kind of discuss what happened last year. Man, disappointing season this past year for the Vikings. I mean, ask any Vikings fan. They're not happy with this past season. You went 8-7-1 last year. Not very good considering the talent you have on your roster and the expectations that were arising in Minnesota. That's not a very good season, in my opinion, okay? Now, in 2017, you made the NFC Championship game with Case Keenum. A lot of people thought Kirk Cousins was the answer, and pretty much they say, hey, bring in Kirk Cousins, upgrade our quarterback, we're going to the Super Bowl. And, yeet! That's not what happened. That's not what happened, okay? Hey, look, there was a lot of questionable losses. A key loss at home to the Bills. You tied with my Green Bay Packers this year, which you shouldn't have done. You had a lot of opportunities to win that game. Had a chance to get in the playoffs, the very final game of the season as a wild card, and Kirk Cousins in this offense absolutely chokes up the joint versus the Chicago Bears. I mean, that was a choke job. I don't know what happened in that game. I picked the Vikings to win that game, but hey, I have no more faith in Kirk Cousins. That guy just absolutely choked. I mean, look, I'm gonna say this right now. Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback. He is a serviceable quarterback. He has talent, but what he does not do, he does not win big games. Kirk Cousins is pretty much as good as the parts around him. He does not elevate players around him. He's not very good at elevating his team. Okay? And honestly, this offense last year was terrible. Now, Kirk Cousins actually did play well. People love to say Kirk Cousins was the main problem in Minnesota. And while he could have played better, it was not all on Kirk Cousins last year in 2017-18. Okay? It was not all on Kirk Cousins in 2018, this past year. The offense was terrible. The year you guys went to the NFC Championship game, you had one of the best running games in all of football. This year, that rushing attack dropped to 30th in the league, okay? You were 19th in scoring. You were a top 10 offense that year. There was just not a lot of balance on this offense, and honestly, the offensive line was atrocious. The offensive line was terrible for the Vikings. It was terrible. It was one of the worst offensive lines in all of football. I didn't see very many offensive lines that were worse than the Vikings' offensive line. So, the fact that Kirk Cousins threw over 30 touchdowns was pretty impressive. The fact that his offensive line was not very good. And the fact that he did not have a very good running game. So, again, while Kirk Cousins could have played better, the Vikings' downfall in 2018 was not all on Kirk Cousins, okay? And the defense was top 10 this year, but the year they went to the NFC Championship game, they were arguably the best defense on paper. So, they took a step back in that regard. Now, I will say this. There is some optimism for the Vikings in 2019-2020. You added to your offensive line in the draft. You drafted Garrett Bradbury, a stud offensive lineman out of NC State. I like him a lot. He's going to definitely start day one for you guys. You drafted Drew Samia. I think that's his name, Drew Samia, out of Oklahoma. A very good offensive lineman. I apologize if I pronounced his name wrong. Okay, but he's a good offensive lineman that you drafted in the later round. You had Irv Smith, a tight end out of Alabama, who should be a key weapon for you guys. So, to me, look. Also, I wanted to bring this up. You fired your offensive coordinator after the Seattle Seahawks game. Your offense was so bad last year that you fired your offensive coordinator. Okay, you fired John DeFilippo. You bring in Kevin Stefanski. Okay, maybe he's the answer. He was the offensive coordinator throughout the latter part of last season. Your offense looked like it was getting better the latter part of last season, but again, just not where it needed to be. Maybe Kirk Cousins in this new offense that should be more balanced with Dalvin Cook, that should be improved with the offensive line. I mean, you still got Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs as your duo wide receivers. Those are two of the top three duos of wide receivers in the National Football League. Okay, so Minnesota has the talent. I'm going to tell you something right now. Talent does not win you football games. You got to go out and do it on the field. You got to go out there and execute, okay? Ask any Minnesota Vikings fan last year. They'll tell you the same thing. So with all that being said, let's jump right into the schedule and see where the Vikings will win and lose in 2019-2020. So Falcons at home, at Packers. Raiders at home, at Bears. You're going to be 2-2 after those stretch of games. I think you'll beat the Falcons. You'll lose to the Packers in Green Bay. You'll lose to the Oakland Raiders. You'll beat the Oakland Raiders. And you will lose at Chicago. Now, the Falcons to me are going to be improved this year. But again, you get them at home. You get them in Minnesota. You're a better team to me than them on paper. I think you'll beat them right there. They should be improved like I said. But again, I think you're pound for pound a better roster than the Falcons at Green Bay. Look, the Green Bay Packers should have beaten you last year in Green Bay. They should have beaten you. My Packers should have won that game. Mason Crosby ultimately missed the game-winning field goal. Okay, we blew a huge lead. We set up for way too many field goals in that game. The refs screwed us over. We had the game-winning interception, but then the referees call a roughing the passer call on Clay Matthews that was absolutely bogus. It was one of the worst calls of the entire NFL season. Look, Aaron Rodgers was hobbled around that game. Now, look, you have played Aaron Rodgers tough over the past couple years. But again, I think a rejuvenated Aaron Rodgers, a team that has a new head coach, that has improved defense, is the best defense the Packers have had since Aaron Rodgers won his only Super Bowl. It's a tough place to play in Green Bay. I think you lose at Green Bay. Now, you'll beat the Raiders at home. You're a better team than the Raiders. The Raiders should score some points, but again, your offense is better. Your offense is very good. Your defense is head and shoulders above the Raiders. I don't think they'll be able to stop your offense. You'll win that game because you're at home. At the Bears, you lost there last year. They bring back pretty much everyone this year. And again, to me, the Bears are just a better team than you guys this year. I see you losing at Chicago. So the next 4 games of your season: at the Giants, Eagles at home, at Lions, Redskins at home. I see you beating the Giants. I see you losing to Philadelphia at home. I see you losing to the Lions on the road in Detroit. And I see you beating the Redskins. I'll explain myself right now. Look, at the Giants, there's a lot of questions at wide receiver. Eli Manning, to me, is a shot fighter. He's not a very good serviceable quarterback anymore. They don't have Odell Beckham Jr. anymore. They don't have Landon Collins anymore, okay? So, again, to me, it's at New York, but, again, you're just a better football team than them. You'll naturally win that game off talent. Okay, Eagles at home. Now, I struggle with this game. I potentially could see the Vikings winning this game, but, again, you beat them last year in Philadelphia. I think they returned the favor and beat you guys this year in Minnesota. I think the Philadelphia Eagles, to me, are a better team than you. Carson Wentz is a better quarterback than, than Kirk Cousins. Okay, they have a better running game than you guys. They have by far a better offensive line. Their defense is better than you guys this year, in my opinion. Their defensive line is nasty. They have very good wide receivers. To me, Philadelphia is just a better team. I've been going on the road and winning a tough game in Minnesota. You'll lose a home game. At Detroit, that's a loss, in my opinion. I think the Detroit Lions are good enough to split with you guys this year. After improving to their team, they added T.J. Hockenson in the draft. They added Trey Flowers in the offseason. They have Mike Daniels now. They have Sax Harrison on that defensive line. Their defensive line is a strength of their team. Their defense is never terrible. Matthew Stafford is a serviceable quarterback in this league. I have you losing at the Lions. I think you beat the Redskins in your house. Okay, I think you're just a better football team than the Redskins. Look, they're gonna have an experienced quarterback in Dwayne Haskins potentially starting. They might have Colt McCoy still starting. They might have Case Keenum starting. I'm just going to go off saying the Vikings are a better team. You'll beat them because you had them at home. The next couple of games: at the Chiefs, at the Cowboys, Broncos at home, bye week, then at Seattle. I only see you winning one of those games. I really do. I think you'll lose at the Chiefs. I think you'll lose at the Cowboys. I think you'll beat the Broncos at home. You'll come around on your bye week. You'll be competitive at Seattle, but I don't see you beating Seattle in Seattle. Look, the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes versus Kirk Cousins. Who are you taking? You're going to take Patrick Mahomes. That offense is special. Patrick Mahomes is special. Andy Reid's a better head coach than Mike Zimmer. I have the Chiefs beating you in Kansas City. If it was in Minnesota, you potentially could win the game. And again, it's at Kansas City. Tough place to play. They're a better football team. They made the AFC Championship game last year. That's a loss. Now, I could see you stealing a game at Jerry World. But again, I'm high on the Cowboys this year. I think the Cowboys are a Super Bowl contender. It's a tough place to play at Jerry World. And I have you losing at the Cowboys, okay? Broncos at home, you're good enough to beat Joe Flacco at home or potentially Drew Lock. I mean, where is the offense going to come from the Broncos? I don't see their offense. Philip Lindsay is a very solid running back. They have Cortland Sutton. They have Emmanuel Sanders. But again, I don't think the Broncos are a better football team than the Vikings. You'll lose that game. Now, at Seattle, Kirk Cousins did beat Seattle when he was back with Washington a couple years ago. But again, it's at Seattle. You're coming off a bye week, so I think you'll have some fire and juice in this game. But again, I just think Seattle's a better team. The wide receivers for the Seattle Seahawks are very, very good. They drafted DK Metcalf and Gary Jennings. I just don't see. It just comes down to the quarterback. Who's the better quarterback? Russell Wilson or Kirk Cousins? Russell Wilson to me is a top 3 quarterback or 4 quarterback in the league right now. Kirk Cousins is not a very good. He's a decent quarterback. Kirk Cousins to me is just an above average quarterback. He's just an above average quarterback. He's a guy. He's not going to beat Russell Wilson in Seattle, an historically tough place to play. And then next, okay, look, Lions at home, at Chargers, Packers at home, Bears at home. I actually think you win 3 of those games. You'll beat the Lions. Again, I think you're just a better football team than the Detroit Lions are in 2019, 2020. So if you win that game, you get them at home. At the Chargers, you could beat them just because of the fact the Chargers don't have a great home field advantage. But again, the Chargers have one of the 5 best rosters in all football. Philip Rivers is a better quarterback than Kirk Cousins. Derwin James, King, Casey Hayward. I mean, that secondary is loaded. That offense is loaded. The Chargers, to me, are a Super Bowl contender. You're not a better team than them. You'll lose that game at the Chargers, but I think you'll beat Green Bay and Chicago to end your season. As much as I want to pick my Packers to beat you guys in Minnesota in Week 16, I just don't see it. I think Aaron Rodgers, he struggles versus Minnesota. He struggled versus Mike Zimmer and that defense. So historically in Minnesota, playing at Minnesota is a tough place to play. I think you're actually a more talented football team than us this year. Now, does that translate to wins? No, because Kirk Cousins sucks, and your offense sucks. Your offensive line sucks, okay? But I think you're good enough to beat us at home. Your offense should be improved. Your defense is very good. I think the fact that it's in Minnesota is the undoing for the Packers. I think you'll beat the Bears this year. Like, I think the Bears will take a step back this year. I just think the Bears were a product of an easy schedule last year. I think Matt Nagy's a very good head coach, but I don't believe in Mr. Trubisky. So I have you beating the Bears at home. So in conclusion, the Minnesota Vikings, off of talent alone, could win 10 or 11 games. I could see 10 or 11 wins based off talent alone. But again, you have to go out there and prove it on the field. And to me, this Vikings team is just not doing it for me. I mean, Garrett Bradbury, I like him a lot, but that offensive line still has question marks, okay? It still has question marks. That defense, you have some players that are getting older. Xavier Rose is getting older. Harrison Smith getting older, okay? I do think your offense will be improved, but again, I have to see it to believe it. I just don't believe in Kirk Cousins. I think he's a very good quarterback, but I think his ceiling is very, very low. He just doesn't win big games. Until Kirk Cousins wins some of these big primetime games, I can't believe in him. And again, I'm looking at this schedule. It's a tough schedule. You have to go at Seattle. You have to travel to Los Angeles to play the Chargers. You got to play the Bears twice. You got to play the Packers twice. You got to play the Cowboys. You got to play the Chiefs. It's just a tough schedule, and I just don't see you guys coming out winning over 8 games on the schedule. I could see 9 wins, maybe 8 in a good year, but again, I just don't believe in this Minnesota team. I think your ceiling's very low with Kirk Cousins as your quarterback. I think your window to win was a couple years ago when you had that great defense, when you made the NFC Championship game. And I just don't see the Vikings finishing any more than 8-8 in 2019-2020. Smash this like button right now. Subscribe to the channel if you're new as well. I do post a ton of great sports videos weekly and almost every single day if I can. It's my favorite thing in the world to do, to make YouTube videos for you guys. I want to become a great sports analyst. I want to become one of the next great sports analysts. I want to become one of the next big things. So just help this channel grow. Share it on Facebook, share it on Twitter, share it on Instagram, share it on Snapchat. Tell all your friends about this channel. The best thing you guys can do to help me achieve my dreams and to help this channel to grow is just to tell people about me, my channel, and the Juice Alert, my YouTube channel in 2019-2020. Appreciate all you guys that have tuned in and watched my videos. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. And I'm Ghost. Blessed day, all you guys. I'm out.